moment, market economics. As much as Obama wants to socialize everything and make everybody equal in terms of their outcomes, it hasn't happened yet, and he's never going to be able to fully do it. If you want, and I want to, if you are a millennial, if you're a teenager, I don't care who you are, there are certain facts of life that have not changed and aren't going to change no matter how much you want them to. If you want a living wage, if you don't like what fast food restaurants pay, then do something else. Just that simple. Go to a trade school, go to another business, start your own business. Maybe the work that you are capable of isn't yet worth $15 an hour at a fast food restaurant. Maybe the consumer doesn't want to pay $10 for a Big Mac so that people working at McDonald's make $15 an hour. It's not just a one-way street. You don't just sit there and double what the employees at McDonald's make and keep the prices the same. Now, you may think this is obvious, folks, and you may think, come on, Rush. You'd be amazed at how many people do not understand the push-pull in economics. You'd be amazed at the number of people who've taken economics courses who think that the truth about economics is that the boss is a cheap skinflint and wants his employees to starve and wants to screw his customers. And that's the basis of their understanding, and they go from there. And they are applauded by left-wing Democrat politicians for holding that belief, and they're encouraged to have it. Now, to those of you who are sympathetic, like Sean from San Diego, you're sympathetic to this demand for the minimum wage at Mickey D's to go from $7.15 or $7.25 an hour to $15. Let me ask you this. When you buy a meal, do you make sure that when you buy a meal that you're paying a fair price for it? Do you walk in there, do you ask the employee, look, am I paying enough here so that you can get a livable wage? When you go in and buy a Big Mac or a quarter pounder with cheese or a double quarter pounder with cheese, do you look at the price and say, are you sure that this costs enough that you can make a livable wage? Or do you just get a little upset when you think it's a little too expensive? When you buy a meal, you pay a fair price for it. Are you doing this to ensure that the employees get health care? You walk into Mickey D's, you buy a Big Mac, you ask them, by the way, is this thing cost enough so that you get health care here? By the way, is this Big Mac cost enough that you get a pension here? Do you think of any of that when you go buy a Big Mac? No. You want it to be as cheap as it can be. That's why you're there. Am I right? Plus, it's fast. Do you walk in to Mickey D's and say, look, double the price of my Happy Meal? I want to pay double the price for my hamburger and my French fries and my soda and my cheap little cookie. And by the way, I want you to double the price for whatever my kids get. And I want you to double the price for whatever my wife orders. And then I want you to go and make sure that the wages and benefits of the people who work here go up. Do you do any of that? No, you'll sit around, you in general, will sit around and demand that the evil owner pay a fair wage to people. But when you walk in there, are you making sure you're paying enough for whatever you're buying so that the evil owner can provide all of those benefits? Do you do that when you go to Walmart? Do you do that when you buy gasoline at the gas station? When you go to the dollar store? Do you say, no, close this. I'm not coming back until it's the $2 store. I'm not paying enough here. You can't possibly provide your employees with good benefits if you're not charging me more than what you're charging me. Do you ever do that? Meanwhile, what about the other side of this? The increased cost to the consumer. Many of the people who go to these stores and restaurants are looking for bargains. They themselves are on limited or fixed incomes. They have large families or they're unemployed. These people are consumers too. They have weekly budgets too. And keep in mind, at the same time, the government is intentionally driving up the price of their electricity and their gasoline and their food. What do you mean intentionally, Mr. What do I mean intentionally? Obama's policies are designed to make things more expensive. And even if they're not designed to, they are causing it to happen. You cannot shrink the workforce by 9 million jobs. You cannot delay the implementation of new pipelines to get more oil in the country and not have the price of oil go up. You cannot attack the coal industry and not expect the price of electricity to go up. Everything this administration is doing is causing prices to go up. Everything. All the while, they tell you it's these evil CEOs and evil Republicans and evil fat cats cheating you. There is a war on the private sector in this country. There is a war on capitalism. There is a war on electricity. There is a war on coal. There's a war on oil. And it's being conducted by the president and his party. So this is not about compassion, much as you wish it were, but it's not about compassion. Because the entire economic impact isn't being considered. If you are sympathetic to somebody at McDonald's getting $15 an hour, then you had better be prepared to pay more. You had better go in and volunteer to pay a higher price for your Mickey D, Double Mac, or whatever it is, Big Mac. You better, or they're protesting McDonald's, Burger King, or what have you. But you don't do that, do you? You're looking for the lowest you can get. You want the compassion to all come from the evil owner. You don't want to participate in the compassion. You want to sit around and beat the drums and say you hope people get treated fairly, but you don't want to be in the equation necessary to make it happen. It's what I love about liberals. That's why I say it's the most choice you can make. All you got to do is sit there, whine and moan and demand about it. Talk about all the unfairness in the world, but never do a damn thing about it. Always demand somebody else do it. Always demand somebody else take the issue on by the reins. Or also claim that nobody else cares like you do. But the economy is push-pull. It's a two-way and often multi-way street. Then there is the issue, and may I dare say, there is the issue of private property rights. You know, people go into business or invest in businesses to improve their own lives and that of their families. They are pursuing the American dream. And this is how we expand an economy. People go into business. They invest in businesses. This is how we create opportunity. This is how we create jobs. It doesn't come from the government. It comes from individuals taking risks or behaving in ways to improve their own lot in life. That is not greed. That is self-interest, and it benefits everybody when there's a payoff. There's a huge difference in greed and selfishness and self-interest. And a guy who goes into business or invests in a business to improve his own life is engaging in his own self-interest. And it's not his responsibility to also take care of you. If he has a business, his responsibility is to make sure it stays open. And the only way that can happen is if he makes a profit. But then if he becomes successful, then we get nutcases like Elizabeth Warren telling him he didn't build it. And Obama then echoes her. You didn't build that. You didn't build that. The road to get people to your place, we built that. And so there is an all-out assault on individual achievement and entrepreneurism and risk-taking. And when you let Democrats run the show, success is going to be punished because it's not fair. We're living today, folks, and that's why there is a malaise and a depression. It's because the American dream is being snuffed out. Success now has a stigma. It's unfair. It's mean-spirited. And besides that, you didn't really do it. The government did it. Taxpayers did it. You don't deserve a profit. If somebody at McDonald's isn't happy with $7.25 an hour and they want $15, give it to them. It's only fair. But that's not how you create opportunity and jobs. It's not how you grow wages and benefits. It's not how you create life-improving and life-saving products. The government doesn't know how to do that. They're not interested in it. They don't do it. All they do is destroy that. The government cannot create wealth, but they are experts at destroying it. We expand the economy and economic opportunity, the processes I've just described. So many of these liberals act as if working the fry machine at a fast food restaurant is the glass ceiling. That's it. If you're working the fry machine, if you're flipping the burgers, or if you're at the counter, that's it. that's the end of your days working. That's the highest you're going to go. And so if that's the highest you're going to go, we got to make sure you have a livable wage. But it's not the highest you're going to go. You're going to leave that job behind you as you get experience, as you discover what you want to do, what you love. But everybody's going to have an entry-level job in their resume. Some people may have 5 or 6. You may be fired 3 or 4 times along the way. But somehow to the left, the hamburger flipper has reached the top. And let's not forget what Dr. King said. Street sweeper, if that's your lot in life, be the best damn street sweeper there is. His point was that there's virtue in every job, virtue in every work, and the only way to get better work is to be excellent at what you're doing now, not a whining, complaining boob running around whining and moaning about unfairness. But if you're the fry cook at a fast food restaurant, well, I guess that's your glass ceiling. And I thought liberals opposed the glass ceiling. Yet that's all they see. That's all they promote. Glass ceilings. But capitalism, freedom, liberty, being the best you can be, do what you want, that's about breaking glass ceilings. It doesn't know discrimination. It doesn't know any limits. It's about success. That's the defining characteristic of capitalism, success. Sure, you're going to run into cheats and charlatans along the way, just like you will in every walk of life, anywhere you go. You overcome it. You deal with it. It's called life, and everybody faces it, and you cannot legislate that out of life. You can't legislate risk out of life, and you can't write failure out of life, and you can't write pain out of life. But the Democrat Party can write and legislate success out of your life if you let them. They need a permanent underclass of dependent people. Do not be one of them. Capitalism equals success, fulfillment. They're the same, and it spreads throughout society. It isn't theoretical either. We have a world in which authoritarianism exists and capitalism exists. The latter works, the previous doesn't. I've got to take a break.